official. It's official. 30 days to make it happen. Now, there was a 30-day deadline after Fury knocked Wilder out to get an agreement with Alexander Usyk. But Usyk is heavily tied into a rematch with Anthony Joshua. The contract is ironclad. There's no way out. The WBC, however, did not immediately mandate DILLIAN to face Tyson Fury because of the ongoing arbitration dispute between them. However, Keith Idec has reported that both parties were notified of the order on Tuesday. The statement reads, "The WBC hereby orders the start of the free negotiations period pursuant to the WBC rules and regulations for the mandatory bout between WBC World Heavyweight Champion Tyson Fury and mandatory challenger and WBC Interim World Champion DILLIAN the Body Snatcher White." So now it's Tyson Fury's move, either fight or vacate. This man has been paying sanctioning fees to the WBC since July 2016 when he beat Dave Allen. I don't even know what to say now he's mandated. I guess it's one of them moments in sport that had to be made right. But one of them moments that you started to lose faith that it would work itself out. And after the long, arduous road to get there, there's an almost anticlimactic, okay, is this it? But this is it. He gets his shot. He gets his shot. Whether Fury is in the opposing corner or not, DILLIAN gets his shot. It's still sinking in. It's still sinking in. Now, location, UK, the build-up. What's that going to be like? Is it going to go to a purse bid? Joint promotion, ESPN, and DAZN? What's the deal? Are you as shocked as me? Yeah, I'll have to get back to this story another time. Let it sink in. The Tank's pay-per-view numbers are going to be what they are. By all accounts and from what I've heard, it's not going to do too well, but that's not really important right now. Like, Devin only done 4,000 in a 16,000 arena, tickets sold. It's not really important. There does come a point where what can you really do without Devin and what can you really do without Tank? You see, Leonard and Eddie can go back and forth. Leonard can threaten to fight Eddie. You can do that. Eddie can try and tell us that Diaz and Haney is a bigger fight than Tank and Cruz, and they can rebuttal each other to death. They both need a dance partner. Now, Lou DiBella said Devin is 5th on a priority list for Kambosos. I don't know how he'd work that out, really. Yeah? If they're saying that Kambosos can do 70,000 to 80,000 seat stadiums in Oz, what does it matter if Devin goes over there or Tank goes over there? You fight Devin, it's for the undisputed lightweight crown. And Lou, see, Lou's another one. He's trying to argue with people that Kambosos is undisputed. You see, when you have to argue about undisputed, that means you've got to clean up the whole thing. Whoever people are saying is disputing the claim, if there's a general consensus of people disputing that claim, and, you know, like, they're boxing fans, they know what's going on. It's not like they've got an agenda against Kambosos. They realize that Devin has the official WBC strap. What you have is a franchise strap. Now, if you want to go ahead with your franchise strap and claim you're undisputed, well, go and do that. But people are always going to say, well, you was never undisputed. There's always going to be a sizable portion of people. And Lou knows that. Lou knows that. You want to put it beyond doubt. Now, you go for Tank Davis. He's an exciting puncher promoted by Mayweather. That's another great fight. That's another great fight. But to put Devin 5th on a priority list is stupid of Lou. Unless he just wants to give the fight back to the PBC to try and get in Al's good books. Say what you want about Eddie. He does his job. He goes out there and does his job to the best of his ability to promote his fighter. Devin has a good promoter behind him. He has a good machine in the zone prepared to pay out the purses. Now, if the PBC don't come back with a comeback offer, then Leonard really has no ground to stand on saying that we don't go over to other people's networks to fight. You really have no grounds in an argument threatening to fight big old Leonard. Now, if Leonard was as aggressive as that in matchmaking Tank, he could possibly be the star they're claiming he is now.
With Eddie Hearn is because he's willing to pay for the fights. That's why I fuck with him. Because, like, yo, we could do the fight. Let me do the fight. I'll pay for it. That's why I fuck with him. Why don't I fuck with Al? Because you don't make fights, bro. You don't make fights I want to see. It is that simple. It's not all this crazy ass shit.
You know, I hear people saying, oh, fighters ain't scared to fight other fighters. You shouldn't say that. You know, oh, fighters don't care what the fans think. That's a load of crap. You see, Michael Hunter, I think he's been affected by the fans and the media's criticism of him not taking that Hrgovic eliminator. I think he's been affected by that. Yeah, I do. And Tank, if you don't keep him focused by giving him defining fights, it's just going to end badly. It's going to end badly, right? DAZN are aggressive about making fights. Leonard's aggressive to Eddie, but DAZN are aggressive in making offers. And that's what we want to see from promoters. I don't want to see Leonard. How old is Leonard? Leonard's a few bars older than me. At least 4 bars older than me. And I ain't no young boy. We had a great hangout yesterday. A great hangout. And when Fury and Wilder and Bob and Al were doing the so-called leverage tactics against AJ, was it against AJ or was it against DAZN? Is the question. Because if DAZN keep putting up offers, and if neither Top Rank or the PBC make counter comeback offers from that, you lose the war of public opinion. You lose. If you don't make a comeback offer, your fighter needs to go across the road. Looking at that American scene, there is no need to freeze out none of the top players. The money is there for everybody. Anyone saying, oh, you do more gates or more pay-per-views, it doesn't matter, right? If Kambosos fights Haney, he gets paid a whole lot. DAZN will make sure of that. If he fights Tank, there's nothing stopping the PBC putting up a whole load of bread and the fight ends up over there. They'll do what they can do, but nobody's bidding higher than DAZN. So all this Tank is a higher priority or Ryan Garcia, well, he's DAZN as well. Is he coming back? Why even put Ryan Garcia's name in the hat, Lou? He's not even fighting. He's on Twitter all day. Don't shut nobody out. All this A-side, bigger business. There is no A-side. All this 4 kings talk, you know what I call them? There ain't no 4 kings. They're 4 kids who need to get busy in this bitch.
It's just, this guy...
Rick, I wanted to ask you a question. Why do you think they're so mad at Eddie? Bob, Ellaby, Lou DIBELLA?
I'm uploading a video. I'm uploading a video all about that right now, literally as we speak. But in a nutshell, Lennox knows. Lennox knows. He disrupted the American market, and that has made things very difficult for all of them.
Must be the money.
If you want the reason in one sentence, right? It's because he disrupted the American market with his with the budget that the DAZN gave him and all that different stuff. That's why they're mad at him. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They can't lowball guys because of Eddie. You know, like Leonard said it a few days ago. They want to give guys peanuts on the dollar, right? To do these fights, like, oh, I'm not going to overpay for this guy. No, what you're really telling me is you can't afford to pay for Haney versus Davis. Eddie can pay for it. You can't pay for it. But you don't want to send Davis to the zone, so you're just going to sit there and be mad at Eddie because he has more money than you do.
They went on and on about A-side privileges for their guys, but once they see the money is not on their side, oh, man.
That's
it's kind of like what Rick's saying is true, because Beats, think about it like this. Do you remember the UK market before like Matchroom and DAZN?
Yeah.
And before Sky really took off, right? The biggest payday they properly had for quite a long time was Froch Groves, right? Other than when Klitschko fought Hay, right? Other than that fight, there was no mega paydays. Kell Brook wasn't getting $1 million a fight or anything like that. He was doing 30,000 pay-per-view boys against Frankie Gavin. You know, yeah. And then what Eddie managed to do, and this is what they were afraid of, was he was able to bring up the UK pay-per-view market. He was able to bring up the UK market in general, and he brought that into a wider array of pay and higher levels of pay. And then when once the zone hit, they sketched out the entire scene worldwide. Boxing globally went up in terms of how many paydays fighters were getting. Fighters got inflated purses, inflated pays, and they were saying it wouldn't work. The problem is they've been consistent with that, and that's why they flushed out the market.
I'm not prepared to throw Tank under the bus and say he had the worst day at the office, because I don't know nothing about Cruz. He could be better than what any of us think. He was undefeated. He was unknown. Now, the win may appreciate in time, and it may depreciate. Who knows? We need to see more of that kid. But let's face it, he was the biggest winner this weekend, Cruz. he was the biggest winner.
Our thing is this, we work smarter, not harder. So we keep everything in-house. Mayweather Promotions, PBC, we all one family. So, we're not gonna go nowhere and make another company great. So we got plenty of fighters that's at 140, 135, and 130. We're gonna continue to fight the fighters that we got to fight.
Tank won, and winning is what's all important right now. There's been a lot of upsets this year. Floyd and Ellaby had a bad weekend. They couldn't maintain the poker face that we're doing great, we have a star. They snapped under public pressure, Eddie Hearn pressure. Leonard, you want to fight Eddie? After a successful weekend, I thought Leonard was glass full. Oh, this was a brilliant weekend, brilliant fight for Tank. No, he snapped because he knows what's coming for Tank. They're going to say, you fought this unproven guy and you didn't perform, and people are actually saying Tank lost. Now they're under pressure to either step up the competition or give this guy a rematch. Now, Mayweather said, we don't need to do cross promotions. We keep everything in-house. Everything's good here. That's what they've been trying to tell us.
We all one family, so, we're not going to go nowhere and make another company great.
We're stars. This is all great. Devin is a failure. You can only do 4,000. We're filling out arenas. Well, if this is the case, Floyd, why are you complaining that people are stealing the fight and streaming it? Why does Leonard want to fight Eddie? Because this was not that great a weekend. It wasn't a total disaster. Tank still has his but Dan Raphael and other members of the media are just ribbing Leonard Ellaby constantly. And Leonard can say, yo, you need to go see what's his name? Ego. Go watch Boxing Ego. Boxing Ego is not going to turn the tide of opinion in your favor with his pro-PBC rhetoric. Yeah? No disrespect to that channel, but that's the truth. The media and the public want to see better fights. Yeah? This PBC thing where Richard Schaefer the other year tried to tell us we didn't want to see Crawford and Spence. We wanted to see Spence and Mikey Garcia. This has got to stop now. You can brag about Saturday's Gate, but how sustainable is it against unproven opposition like Isaac Cruz? And it's coming to a point where both Floyd and Leonard are looking so immature. Like what did Floyd say the other day? Yeah, we'll just do in-house fights. We don't want to make another company great. How does this work exactly? Floyd, TBE, best of his era, right? When he was the B-side to Oscar, Oscar had all the leverage, the money, and the popularity. So Floyd succumbed to his demands. He beat Oscar, and he became popular. Just like when Floyd fought Marcus Maidana, and Marcus gave him a tough fight. What did that do? That elevated Maidana so much so, Floyd felt compelled to give him a rematch and give him another payday. That elevated Maidana as one of Floyd's toughest challenges. Now, look, this is just the logic of life, not just boxing. If you make a great cross-promotion fight, TMT goes up, the PBC goes up, but who else goes up? DAZN goes up, ESPN goes up, Showtime goes up, Matchroom goes up. The most immature thing you can say is we don't want to make no one great. Don't worry about how great they're going to get. Just keep your business sustainable and consistent. That's all you got to do. Don't worry about them. The PBC can brag about Errol Spence all they like, and he's a good fighter, and he's done a lot of good stuff. But this ain't panning out how it's supposed to pan out. We're wondering if he's going to recover from this detached retina, which can happen to any fighter, but outside of that, Errol's been slipping. Still undefeated, but he's been slipping. He's not on the course he's supposed to be on. There was talk of Terence going over to Mayweather, and I'm a Mayweather fan. Everybody knows that. And I'm thinking, no, Terence, not right now. No. There has to be a change of approach from the money team before you even dream of going over there. Let me end it like this. You need to find Tank a dance partner. And that partner is not at the PBC. It's not at TMT. You need to find him a dance partner. Or perhaps give this Isaac kid a rematch. Might create some buzz. You're saying you don't want to make no other company big? Floyd was saying, I thought Cruz was PBC. Apparently he's not. He's fought a couple of times on PBC cards, but apparently he's not. What if he decides to go to the other side of the street now? You see, this shit is stupid. This mentality is stupid. He's a Mexican. He might go talk to Oscar and go hook up at DAZN and find solace there. Who knows? He's going to have better representation if there's a rematch with Tank. No doubt about that. And he's going to want a bag if Tank wants that rematch. He's going to want a bag. Ryan, he's a diva. If he does come back, he's going to be pulling some A-side rank on Tank Davis. You know, Floyd claims that they've tried to make that fight already, but apparently Ryan didn't want it. See, Floyd is giving conflicting messages. Like, just the other month he said, we're just going to keep it in-house. We don't need no one else. But after Tank didn't perform to expectations and there was a little damage control to do, oh, you see, we tried to make the big fights with Ryan. I thought you were keeping it all in-house. Now you're saying you've tried to make big fights. Which one is it? To me, you got Lomachenko out there. He's definitely going to want, like, A-side over Tank. Bob's not going to have it no other way. You know, when Eddie was popping up saying, yeah, Devin will go to Australia, Lou put Devin as his 5th choice to fight Kambosos. Was it 5th or 4th? Way down the track. And Lou's got a little power mad since Kambosos has got the belts. Is Lou going to be prepared to take B-side to Tank Davis to make that fight? Besides, Tank said he doesn't want the belts, doesn't care about the belts. That's what he said. And Kambosos is not going to be taking on any of the 4 kids. Yeah? He's not going to be taking any of them on. I heard one of his representatives talking about, we'll look for a big fight later on in 2022. But they're going to have a homecoming defense, nothing too complicated. He doesn't have any immediate Mandos on the horizon. So, what's next for Tank? Devin is the most compliant guy. And I'm not saying that Devin is just begging for anything, but Devin will be the most cooperative guy to make a fight with. And that's who Al should be talking to. He's a free agent. Let's get it done. Devin versus Tank. Summer 2022. Let's go.
So whatever happened to the 4 kings, or should I say 4 kids? Well, Gervonta Davis' promoter, Mayweather, said they're only going to take in-house fights from now, so he can't really go that much further, especially after the lackluster performance against the unknown, unproven Mexican kid on Saturday. T.O., he said he was going to be in a takeover, but he got his place took by the Australian who outpointed him over 12 rounds. So now the Australian kid, George Kambosos, is the unified champion. Throwing up a strip on the barbie for me, mate. Another upset for the year. Devin Haney, he moves to 25-0 after a unanimous decision over Jojo Diaz. He's calling all of them out, but they don't seem interested in fighting Devin. Devin doing his thing, but still hasn't got the star power yet. Ryan Garcia, well, Ryan's on the sideline and is currently having therapy to stop sucking his thumb so he can actually put his hand in a boxing glove and start fighting again. Well, that's the story of the 4 kings, the 4 kids so far. Hopefully they can do better in 2022.
I'm looking at this Andrade situation and I'm just not liking the way it could play out for him. Eddie Hearn is pissed that the WBO are ordering Demetrius Andrade to take on JANIBEK because it's an impossible fight to promote. I mean, there's nothing good that can come from Andrade defending against JANIBEK. And he might even lose. These are Eddie Hearn's words. The Kazakhstan has heavy hands and a style that represent nothing but problems for Andrade. But even if Andrade does beat the 28-year-old JANIBEK, he gains nothing because no one knows who this guy is aside from the ultra-hardcore boxing fans. How convenient that it will interfere with Eddie's attempt to make Charlo versus Andrade. We wrote to the WBC, who has the ability, by the way, within their rules, to order the champion to fight another champion from another governing body. One day later, Andrade has got this mandatory against JANIBEK, someone who Eddie says he's never heard of, no disrespect to him. Eddie's saying Paco Vacarel cannot mandate one of their champions to fight another champion because it's not within their rules. It's in the WBC's rules. They can order a mandatory for their champion against another champion. Well, Paco not being totally truthful, is he? Like, Eddie already laid down the template that Kovalev was mandated by the WBC to fight their champion, Adonis Stevenson. Kathy fucked up the purse bid. She pulled out the purse bid. So he's not being totally honest there. He's just been non-cooperative to make that fight. But why? Is he working in the interests of the PBC? Because that's a fight the PBC and Charlo have shown no interest to make for a couple of years now. And Eddie's tried to make it several times. What we're doing is asking the WBC to order that fight between Charlo and Demetrius Andrade. But Paco then had the right to say we approve that or we don't approve that. But we wrote to both governing bodies and said, Mauricio, please order Charlo to fight Andrade for the good of boxing. Paco, just to let you know, we've written to Mauricio Suleiman. If he orders that, please accept that for the good of boxing. 48 hours later, we get another mandatory. JANIBEK and Eddie saying, not being facetious, but come on, who wants to see that? Now I'm in a situation where I've got to get creative. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. Here's the problem with Eddie, yeah? Now, there's a paragraph that I'm trying to work out. My brain is not computing what he's saying. He's saying maybe they move up to 168 and Bones mandatory for the WBO World Champion, ? But we've got to do something because we can't go fight that fight again. When he says Bones, does that mean that they decline taking on their mandatory? Is that what he means? And when he says we can't fight that fight again, does that mean that they don't want to fight another mandatory so close to the last one they fought against Leon Williams? I'm not sure. Okay, I got lost there. He's saying he could become mandatory to Canelo, but Canelo wants to fight Lalunga Makabu. He wants to fight the champions. Canelo is not going to fight Demetrius. Canelo isn't ducking no one, let's be honest. Now, you see the problem, Eddie, with that, right? You're saying Canelo wants to fight the champions. Well, Andrade was a champion at 160, and he said he's not going to fight this guy. He said he's not going to fight Andrade when they both had straps at 160. Makabu is no more popular in America than Andrade. So you keep defending Canelo, but you're saying you're fighting Demetrius Andrade's corner. Whose corner are you really fighting? And don't get me wrong, obviously he's going to favor Canelo over Andrade because, do I need to spell it out? If Andrade gives up that belt and doesn't get a Golovkin, a Charlo, or a Canelo in the ring, or even a Jaime Munguia, well, he's just going to become the laughingstock for that pro-Eastern European demographic. And to be honest, I won't be able to defend him either. I won't be able to defend him. What am I going to say? You gave up your belt rather than fighting the mandatory. Okay, they gave him two mandatories in close proximity to each other. The Leon Williams mandatory wasn't that far back. And do I think it's a bit of a stitch-up job? Yes, I do. You know, the WBC are doing a similar stitch-up job to UGAS right now. Because the PBC want to protect their asset in Errol Spence rather than press forward for a unification between Spence and UGAS. No, they've got UGAS basically having to take two mandatories on the bounce because they want to clean up this belt situation. But if Manny had beaten UGAS, you think this would get in the way of Spence and Manny? No. Once again, the unpopular fighters get stitched up. While guys like Golovkin, he's not pressed to take a serious challenge for how long? He just sat out on the sidelines waiting for this Murata fight, which might not be happening. My advice, if Andrade is still strong to make 160, take on JANIBEK. Take him on. And if you lose, lose like a champion. And if you win, demand your respect for that win. And don't let them dare try to say he was green like they claimed Canelo was when he fought Floyd. Don't let them dare say it. I bet you any money Eddie ain't heard nothing back from the WBC when he requested for Andrade to be mandated for Charlo's WBC title. I bet he's heard crickets. What's the point Andrade moving up unless he's tight at the weight? You know, he's not the only one who's going to try and become a mandatory at 168. David Benavidez. His team put him forward to fight for that WBC 168-pound strap that Canelo holds. So Andrade is going to go for the WBO. Benavidez is going to go for the WBC. Is he going to win a popularity contest against another Mexican to fight Canelo? No, he's not. See, the thing is, man, this shit is so crooked. Like, Jamal Charlo, his belt is in a voluntary stage. Now, some guy named Adames, he beat Derevyanchenko on the tank undercard. Now, he's going to be ordered to fight an eliminator against Jaime Munguia, who has already had a mandatory chance to fight for the belt, but he wants to fight another eliminator against Adames. And the WBC are going to allow him to do it. Dimitri Bivol is defending his title on Saturday if anyone is interested. And if there's a lack of enthusiasm in my voice, I mean, I don't want to say too much. 4:45 p.m. UK time. I've got the DAZN subscription. If I'm there, I'll watch it. I don't watch fights on the phone, so if I'm in my house, then I'll watch it. This guy, good fighter, got some good names on his resume. But is he one of them guys that superstardom is just not in the plans? And I wonder about his temperament. Like, he's Russian, right? And maybe it's just a different temperament, because he's not complaining about not getting high-profile fights. He's not complaining. You don't hear anything. Maybe he talks to reporters who speak Russian and tells them more. But he doesn't complain. He doesn't say anything. Maybe he's just content with how his career's going. He's getting paid from DAZN. I don't think this fight was supposed to be on DAZN, and it seems at the last minute DAZN have had a change of heart. I'll watch the fight, even if I don't see it in real time. I'll go back to the DAZN library and I'll pick it up from there.
Reserve the date, December the 11th, massive card coming back to Liverpool. Conor and Katie Taylor, big double header.
I'm going to finish this year the way I started it, and I'm going out with a bang.
Can Conor get past this test?
We're chasing world titles, that's what we all work hard for.
This is a perfect next opponent.
Chris Algieri versus Conor BENN. That's on DAZN on the same day. Not a lot has been spoke about with this fight here. I think it's an interesting fight without being a must-watch fight. It's hard to imagine Chris Algieri has the punch power to stop Conor BENN, but he has other assets. He's one of the most complete fighters that BENN has faced so far. Now, that might say more about BENN's resume than how good Algieri is. But Algieri, you know, I'll never forget that fight with Amir Khan. I'll never forget that one. He had John David Jackson in his corner, and he just came forward on Amir. Never forget that fight. I thought he won. Former world champion as well. And he's always in shape. Conor can't afford to sleep on this one. He might not be as faded as everybody thinks. Katie Taylor faces someone named Sharapova. Sound like a tennis match, doesn't it? On the card. And I'm looking forward to seeing Robbie Davis Jr. versus Hank Lundy. My man Hank from Philly. I think I got a couple of interviews of Hank from back in the day. Last time out, he went the distance with Jose Sabeda. He's fought the likes of Terence Crawford. Didn't do very well, but he done all right in the early rounds. But you know, it's Terence Crawford. It's Terence Crawford. I remember the first time watching Hank Lundy. Was it the first time? I read about him quite a bit because I was still buying magazines at that time, and he was ahead on the scorecards against John Molina Jr. They showed it on terrestrial television back then, and Molina clawed it back. It was an ESPN card, so I'm going to imagine it was on Friday Night Fights. Was it Channel 5 used to do them cards back in the day in the UK? Yeah, Friday Night Fights. Robbie, don't want to be disrespectful, but he's not world class. And if Hank can't beat Robbie at this stage of life, I can't really say what other avenues he may have to get income. But it's not a good look if he can't beat Robbie Davis. And I don't even mean like get a split points decision. If you can't beat Robbie convincingly, I don't know, Hank. I don't know.